I met Alice at a New Year's Eve party back in 2019, hosted by our mutual friend, Dylan. I remember walking into Dylan's apartment, feeling a bit out of place as I didn't know many people there. That's when I spotted her across the room, laughing at something Dylan had said. Her infectious smile and the way her eyes lit up immediately caught my attention. As luck would have it, Dylan introduced us, mentioning our shared love for the outdoors. Alice and I hit it off instantly, spending the rest of the night talking about our favorite hiking trails and travel experiences. I was captivated by her stories of backpacking through Europe after college and her dream of one day hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. Despite the 3-year age gap, we found ourselves on the same wavelength, enjoying each other's company and sharing similar life goals. Our connection was undeniable, and we started dating soon after. From the beginning of our relationship, I made it clear that I wasn't ready for marriage or kids anytime soon. I explained that I wanted to focus on my career in software development and personal growth before settling down. I had just started a promising position at a tech startup and was eager to make my mark in the industry. Alice seemed to understand and agree with my perspective. She was equally career-driven, working in marketing for a local nonprofit organization. We often talked about our future plans, which included traveling the world, pursuing our passions, and enjoying our freedom before considering any major life changes. We even joked about being the cool aunt and uncle to our friends' kids, spoiling them with gifts and stories of our adventures. For the first 3 years of our relationship, everything was perfect. We went on numerous adventures together, from backpacking through Southeast Asia to road tripping across the United States. I'll never forget the night we spent camping under the stars in Joshua Tree National Park, talking about our dreams and aspirations until the early hours of the morning. We supported each other's career aspirations and personal goals, celebrating each other's successes and providing comfort during setbacks. I even encouraged Alice when she decided to switch careers from marketing to graphic design, knowing it was her true passion. She had always been creative, often sketching in her free time and designing posters for local events. When she confided in me about her desire to pursue graphic design full-time, I supported her decision wholeheartedly. I helped her research design programs and even surprised her with a new drawing tablet for her birthday to kickstart her journey. Our relationship wasn't without its challenges, of course. We had our fair share of arguments, usually about small things like whose turn it was to do the dishes or my tendency to work late hours. But we always managed to communicate and work through our issues, coming out stronger on the other side. However, things started to change about 6 months ago. It all began when we attended her cousin Sarah's baby shower. Alice was asked to be the godmother, and she was absolutely thrilled. I noticed how she cooed over the baby gifts and seemed to be more interested in talking about babies than anything else at the party. At first, I thought it was just excitement about her new role as a godmother. In the weeks following the baby shower, Alice's behavior started to shift. She began watching countless mommy vlogs on YouTube and following parenting accounts on Instagram. At first, I didn't think much of it. I assumed it was just a phase triggered by her excitement about becoming a godmother. Plus, I was preoccupied with a big project at work, often coming home late and too tired to really notice the changes. But as time went on, her newfound interest in babies and parenting intensified. She started bringing up the topic of having kids more frequently in our conversations. Initially, it was subtle. She would mention how cute a baby was when we were out in public or how she thought we'd make great parents someday. I would usually respond with a non-committal maybe someday or gently remind her that we had agreed to wait. Things escalated when Alice's best friend, Daisy, announced her pregnancy. Alice was over the moon with excitement and volunteered to help plan the baby shower. She threw herself into the preparations with an enthusiasm I had never seen before. She spent hours creating personalized decorations and even designed a beautiful invitation using her newly acquired graphic design skills. It was during this time that I noticed a change in how she talked about our future. Instead of discussing our next travel plans or career goals, Alice started talking about which neighborhood would be best to raise kids in or what type of parenting style she thought we should adopt. When I reminded her that we had agreed to wait, she brushed it off, saying, "But don't you think we're ready now?" I tried to have a serious conversation with her about our timeline, reiterating that I wasn't ready for kids and didn't see myself being ready for at least another 5 years. I explained that I wanted to reach certain milestones in my career first, like becoming a senior developer or maybe even starting my own tech company. Alice seemed disappointed but said she understood. However, her actions in the following weeks told a different story. She started leaving parenting books around our apartment and sending me links to articles about the benefits of having children in your early 30s. When we were out shopping, she would linger in the baby section, looking at tiny clothes and toys. It felt like she was trying to subliminally convince me to change my mind. One weekend, when we were supposed to go hiking, something we hadn't done in a while, Alice suggested we visit a new family-friendly park instead. As we watched kids play on the swings and slides, she kept making comments like, "Wouldn't it be wonderful to bring our own kids here someday?" I felt uncomfortable and changed the subject, suggesting we grab lunch at our favorite taco place. The situation came to a head last week when Alice's sister, Laura, visited us with her 2-year-old son, Tommy. Alice was absolutely smitten with Tommy, spending the entire visit playing with him and taking care of his every need. She read him stories, built block towers, and even managed to calm him down during a tantrum. I have to admit, seeing her so natural with a child was heartwarming, but it also filled me with a sense of dread. After Laura and Tommy left, Alice turned to me with a serious expression and said, "I think it's time we started trying for a baby." I was taken aback by her directness and reminded her once again that I wasn't ready. She became visibly upset, accusing me of stringing her along and wasting her time. We had a heated argument where Alice claimed that she had only agreed to wait because she thought I would change my mind. She said that at 28, her biological clock was ticking and she didn't want to wait any longer. She brought up how all of her friends were either married with kids or pregnant, and she felt left behind. I felt blindsided and frustrated, wondering how we had gone from being on the same page to this. I tried to explain that having a child was a huge responsibility and that I wanted to be absolutely sure we were ready, financially, emotionally, and in terms of our relationship, before taking that step. But Alice didn't seem to be listening. The past week has been tense, with Alice giving me the cold shoulder and making passive-aggressive comments about how I don't want a future with her. She's been spending more time at Daisy's place, helping her prepare for the baby, and coming home late without much explanation. I love Alice, and I've always envisioned spending my life with her. We've been through so much together, supporting each other through career changes, celebrating our achievements, and creating countless happy memories. But this sudden obsession with having kids is making me question our compatibility. I feel like I'm being pressured into a major life decision that I'm not ready for. The thought of becoming a father right now fills me with anxiety. I worry about the impact it would have on my career, our finances, and our relationship. Am I wrong for wanting to stick to our original plan? How do I handle this situation without losing the woman I love? Update 1. It's been about a month since my original post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. Your comments gave me a lot to think about and helped me gain some perspective on the situation. After my initial post, I took some time to reflect on the situation. I realized that avoiding the issue wasn't going to solve anything, and we needed to have an honest conversation about our future. So, I decided to have another serious talk with Alice. I invited her out to dinner at Chez Marie, the cozy French bistro where we had our first anniversary dinner. I hope that a neutral setting might help keep the conversation calm, and the familiar atmosphere might remind us of happier times in our relationship. When we arrived at the restaurant, Alice seemed surprised by my choice of venue. As we settled into our usual corner table, I could see a mix of emotions on her face: hope, apprehension, and a hint of sadness. We ordered our usual dishes, French onion soup for her, escargot for me, and as we waited for our food, I took a deep breath and started the conversation. I began by expressing how much I loved her and valued our relationship. I reminisced about some of our best moments together, our trip to Bali where we learned to surf, the time we got lost hiking in the Adirondacks and ended up having an impromptu picnic by a waterfall, and how she stood by me when I was struggling with my first big project at work. Then, I gently reiterated my concerns about having children at this point in our lives. To my surprise, Alice broke down in tears. Between sobs, she confessed that her sudden obsession with having a baby wasn't just about wanting to be a mother. She revealed that she had been feeling insecure about her career change and was worried about falling behind her friends who were settling down and starting families. Alice explained that seeing her friends get married and have kids made her feel like she was somehow failing at life. She admitted that she thought having a baby would give her a sense of purpose and accomplishment. I was shocked by this revelation, as Alice had always seemed so confident and self-assured. As our main courses arrived, barely touched, we continued our heart-to-heart. Alice opened up about the pressure she felt from her family, especially her mother, who kept asking when we were going to settle down. She also confessed that she was struggling more with her career transition than she had let on. While she loved graphic design, she was finding it hard to build a client base and was questioning her decision to switch careers. I shared my own anxieties about becoming a parent before I felt ready. I talked about my fears of not being a good father, of losing our freedom and spontaneity, and how I worried it might negatively impact our relationship and individual growth. I also opened up about the pressure I felt at work, with the possibility of a promotion on the horizon if I could successfully lead my current project. We spent hours at that table, long after our dishes had been cleared, diving deep into our fears, insecurities, and hopes for the future. It was as if we were really seeing each other clearly for the first time in months. As the evening wore on, Alice acknowledged that she had been unfair in pressuring me and apologized for her behavior over the past few months. She agreed that having a baby to fill a void or compete with others was not a healthy reason to start a family. I apologized too, for not being more attentive to her struggles and for sometimes prioritizing work over our relationship. By the time we left the restaurant, hand in hand, we had come to some important decisions. We decided to take a step back and focus on our individual goals and our relationship. Alice committed to seeing a career counselor to address her professional insecurities, and I promised to be more supportive of her during this transition period. I also agreed to try and find a better work-life balance, making sure to dedicate quality time to our relationship. We also made a pact to have regular check-ins about our future plans, including the topic of children. We agreed to revisit the conversation in a year, giving us both time to grow and potentially align our goals. In the meantime, we decided to focus on nurturing our relationship and supporting each other's personal growth. The atmosphere at home has improved significantly since our talk. Alice has stopped with the baby hints, and we've been focusing on reconnecting as a couple. We've started having weekly date nights, trying new restaurants and activities around the city. Last week, we took a cooking class together, attempting, and hilariously failing, to make soufflés. We've also started planning a trip to Iceland, something we've both always wanted to do. We spend our evenings researching geothermal spas, planning hikes to see the northern lights, and dreaming about road tripping around the ring road. It feels like we're getting back to the adventurous couple we used to be. However, I can't help but feel a lingering concern. While I'm glad we were able to communicate openly and reach an understanding, I worry that this issue might resurface in the future. The underlying difference in our life goals is still there, just temporarily set aside. I'm committed to working on our relationship, but I'm also aware that we might ultimately want different things in life. For now, I'm cautiously optimistic. We're taking things one day at a time and trying to enjoy our life together in the present. I'm focusing on being a more attentive partner, and Alice is throwing herself into building her design portfolio. We're rediscovering the things that made us fall in love in the first place, and it feels good. Update 2. It's been about 6 months since my last update, and I wish I had better news to share. Despite our best efforts to work through our differences, the issue of having children continued to be a point of contention between Alice and me. Initially, things seemed to be improving. Alice started seeing a career counselor and was making progress in her graphic design career. She landed a few freelance gigs designing logos for local businesses and even created a website for a popular food truck in our area. Her confidence was growing, and she seemed more settled in her new career path. As for me, I threw myself into my work, successfully leading my team to complete our big project ahead of schedule. This led to talks of a potential promotion, which was exciting but also meant longer hours at the office. We went on our trip to Iceland, which was amazing and reminded us of why we fell in love in the first place. We soaked in the Blue Lagoon, chased the northern lights, and even went snorkeling between tectonic plates in the Silfra Fissure. For those 2 weeks, it felt like all our problems had melted away, and we were just two people in love, enjoying each other's company and the beauty of nature. However, about 2 months ago, things started to unravel again. It began when Alice's sister Laura announced she was pregnant with her second child. I could see the mix of joy and longing on Alice's face when she heard the news. She tried to hide it, but I could tell the announcement had stirred up her desire for a baby again. At first, Alice didn't say anything directly, but I noticed subtle changes in her behavior. She started spending more time with Laura, helping her prepare for the new baby. She would come home from these visits quieter than usual, often lost in thought. Things came to a head last week when we were having dinner with my parents. My mom, unaware of our recent struggles, innocently asked when we were planning to give her grandchildren. Before I could respond, Alice blurted out, "We would be trying already if it were up to me." The silence that followed was deafening. My parents looked uncomfortable, and I felt a mix of anger and embarrassment. I quickly changed the subject, but the tension lingered for the rest of the evening. After we left, Alice and I had another heated argument in the car. She accused me of holding her back and said she was tired of putting her dreams on hold for me. She brought up how all her friends were moving forward in their lives, getting married, having kids, while we seemed to be stuck in the same place. I reminded her of our agreement to wait and revisit the topic after a year, but she said she couldn't wait any longer. She gave me an ultimatum: either we start trying for a baby within the next 6 months, or she would leave. I was stunned by her ultimatum. It felt like all the progress we had made over the past few months had been erased. I told her I couldn't make such a life-changing decision under pressure and that I still wasn't ready for children. We argued late into the night, going in circles without reaching any resolution. We spent the next few days in a tense standoff, barely speaking to each other. Alice started spending more nights at her sister's place, saying she needed space to think. I threw myself into work, staying late at the office to avoid coming home to an empty apartment. Previous content remains the same. Yesterday, Alice told me she had been offered a job as an in-house graphic designer for a company in another city. She said she was considering taking it, as it would be a great opportunity for her career and a chance for a fresh start. She said she needed some time and space to think about what she really wanted in life. This morning, I woke up to find Alice packing a suitcase. She said she was going to stay with her sister for a while to clear her head. As she was leaving, she turned to me with tears in her eyes and said, "I love you, but I don't know if love is enough anymore." I'm writing this update feeling lost and heartbroken. I never imagined our difference in wanting children would lead to this. Part of me wants to tell her I'll have a baby just to keep her, but I know that would be unfair to both of us and any potential child. I'm not sure what the future holds for us now. I still love Alice, but I'm beginning to accept that we might want fundamentally different things in life. I'm trying to stay strong and true to myself, but it's hard not to question if I'm making the right decision. I appreciate any advice or support you all can offer during this difficult time. I feel like I'm at a crossroads, and I'm not sure which path to take. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and I wanted to share how things have unfolded. After Alice left to stay with her sister, we had minimal contact for about a month. It was a difficult and lonely time, but it gave me the space to really think about what I wanted in life. During this time, I threw myself into work and started seeing a therapist to help process my emotions. Through these sessions, I realized that my reluctance to have children wasn't just about timing or career goals. I had some deep-seated fears about parenthood stemming from my own childhood experiences that I had never fully addressed. My parents, while loving, were often absent due to their demanding careers. I grew up feeling like I was never quite the priority in their lives. This realization made me question whether I would be able to balance my career ambitions with being a present and attentive parent. It was a lot to unpack, but it helped me understand my hesitations better. About 6 weeks after she left, Alice reached out and asked if we could meet. We agreed to meet at Riverside Park, a place where we used to have picnics when we first started dating. The conversation was initially awkward, with both of us unsure how to bridge the gap that had formed between us. As we walked along the familiar paths, Alice shared that her time away had given her perspective too. She admitted that her desire for a baby had become an unhealthy obsession, driven more by societal pressure and comparison to her peers than a genuine readiness for parenthood. She had also started therapy and was working through her own issues, including her fear of missing out and her need for external validation. We both acknowledged that we had made mistakes in how we handled the situation. I apologized for not being more understanding of her feelings, and she apologized for pressuring me and giving me an ultimatum. It felt good to clear the air and be honest with each other again. However, despite this newfound understanding, we realized that our fundamental desires for the future still didn't align. Alice still wanted children in the near future, while I realized I might never be ready for that commitment. It was a painful realization, but we both knew we had to face it. With heavy hearts, we made the difficult decision to end our relationship. It wasn't an easy choice, and we both shed tears as we talked it through. But we recognized that it was the right thing to do. We didn't want to resent each other down the line for compromising on such a crucial life decision. In the weeks since our breakup, I've been focusing on healing and personal growth. I've continued my therapy sessions, which have been incredibly helpful. I've also rekindled old friendships that I had neglected during the more intense periods of my relationship with Alice. Last weekend, I went on a camping trip with some college buddies, something I hadn't done in years. I've even signed up for a photography class I'd always wanted to take. It's been therapeutic to focus on capturing moments of beauty in the world around me. There's something about looking at life through a lens that gives me a new perspective on things. Alice and I have maintained a respectful distance, but we recently ran into each other at a mutual friend's birthday party. It was bittersweet seeing her, but I was glad to hear she's doing well in her new job and seems happy. She mentioned she's been dating someone new, which was hard to hear, but I genuinely wish her the best. This experience has taught me a lot about the importance of open communication in relationships and staying true to oneself. While it's been a difficult journey, I'm grateful for the growth it has brought me. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I feel more equipped to face it now. I want to thank everyone in this community for your support and advice throughout this challenging time. Your words of encouragement have been a source of strength for me. Here's to moving forward and embracing whatever the future holds.